Nigerians have made it a norm, to just self-medicate. They do not listen to healthcare providers. They do not listen to words of wisdom. Medications are extremely paramount. When you go to a healthcare provider, I think you have to be very honest and very down to earth with respect to your basic needs. You can't be suffering when someone is a pharmacist is shoving you down with a very expensive medication where there are alternatives that are way cheaper that could even work very well.
Make you go hospital.
Yeah.
Go see doctor.
Yeah.
They make you tell and say the medicine where you want prescribe for you. Make sure say if you enter your money, if you buy them. Because those alternatives are there.
Yeah.
So that you don't just walk to the pharmacy and buy Ampiclox at 36,000 when they can give you tetracycline at 1K.
Yeah.
Today, we are, like what they said, focusing on the high price of
drugs.
So
you're dealing with drug dealers this morning.
So we have a drug dealer here. Please don't take my word for it.
But okay, pharmacists, what do they deal in?
They
deal in drugs.
They deal in drugs.
Yes.
Right? So exactly. Really.
But maybe you could
medication.
Off-the-counter drugs.
So
across the counter, over-the-counter drugs.
These are more over the counter, not off the counter. Not behind the pharmacy.
Prescription drugs. Drugs. So I mean, well, before I formally introduce him, today we just want to appreciate the escalating cost of pharmaceutical drugs in Nigeria, and why the prices have skyrocketed so high, and it's so bad right now that they say falling ill right now is a rich man's business, right? So
I dare still rich man.
You see, so you can't even be poor right now and fall ill. You are finished, But we have an expert here today who is going to, generally shed some light on how we can just navigate around, the ever increasing high cost of medical drugs. And today we have Rupert Egwenu, a pharmaceutical business manager.
Thanks, Ogiva. Thanks for having me here. I'm elated to be here.
So we'll pick your brain a bit today. Let's see how it goes. So I mean, with how can the everyday Nigerian, right, ensure they are choosing the most effective yet reliable drugs? As in to start with, for like how can we navigate choosing what's best for us right now? Because I think the value of that has to come in because it is expensive, right? Mm-hmm. So how can we identify how? I mean, I don't know how. Okay, go on.
Like I said, thanks once again for having me in the studio. I think for me, there has to be a balance between prices and quantity. In the course of our discourse, on the proceed of our discourse today, I'll use the term big wigs a lot to demonstrate or to describe the...
Well, you have to first break down what the meaning of big wigs is.
The multinationals. So I'll just term all of them to be big. The GSKs, the ones that left Nigerians, I'll use the word big wig for them. The big wigs are often associated with quality products, and that's because they have... the heritage patent rights, to do pharmaceutical products, and for donkey years, they've had extensive monetary allocations, for new molecules research, a lot of those purposes to be carried out, and this in turn, for those bigwigs, quote unquote, this in turn has fetched them patronage over the course of the year. So, for coming back to the Nigerian terrain, we have to start buying the naira, buying Nigeria to grow the naira.
Okay.
Right from when we were young, we've seen medications being associated to some ailments that the companies are being domiciled in Nigeria, and because of that, we have to start exploring those options. Let me give you instance. I don't want to call a lot of names today, but let me just give you instances for establishments like EMZO. Over the years, EMZO is an indigenous pharmaceutical firm, and all over the time we go to the counter and ask for paracetamol. And for these years, we've seen potency. We know it works. So if we've keyed into Emzor giving us that product, why can't we explore the options of them giving us high-end products that are way more cheaper than the multinational?
I like what you said, Rupert, and I think for me in bringing it home also is to say that aside from the fact that the big wigs like you call them, so we need to now specify when we go to a pharmacy, give me Emzor paracetamol.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because if you're talking about Nigeria and people don't really understand which pharmaceutical companies are fully and indigenous in Nigeria, and then I think we need to start to first and foremost call the names, and then before we know the brand, because if you don't know the name, sometimes you don't know the brand. Okay.
Yeah, well, so but adding to that, right? Like how what drugs have really, what's the word, right? Experienced this drastic increase in prices. Like, sorry, let me. So, like, because we know that there are some ailments that require some very expensive drugs, right? And we know the ones like the everyday malaria off the shelf, kind of drugs, right? So, I mean, I just want to shed a little more light on, the kind of drugs that have actually really, increased drastically, and why really? What exactly is causing it?
So, answering that question, I'm going to cite SB Morgan, on their research that they've done from 2019 to 2023, middle of 2023. Traditionally, the respect to increase in drug has to do with usage and abuse. Those are the two things that propels drugs naturally. So. Okay. I'm talking anti-malaria, I'm talking antibiotics, I'm talking anti-allergies, that's the antihistamine ranges, for your flu, your cold, and then primarily supplements. But we've noticed that since the bigwigs, let me use the word again, pulled out during the first quarter of, like the first phase of August, a lot of challenges have left those first liners that the cost really affected to the drugs now that are necessitated for management. Let me give you instances. An anti-malaria now, for instance, now you might not treat malaria more than maybe 3-4 times a year. Depends. But people that have ailments that needs to be managed, I'm talking metabolic disorders like diabetes or maybe cardiovascular challenges like hypertension, whereby you need to steadily keep these things in check. Those ones now that I see, that those drugs now for the past 4 months have been over the roof. Let me give you an instance again. For something like Ampiclos, which is an antibiotic, first-line antibiotic, it is the most abused drug in Nigeria. Data has propelled, So, and it technically, citing AB Morgan again, it has experienced the most drastic increase, 1,139%.
What?
So we shouldn't be taking antibiotics.
1,139% increment. So if you used to buy Ampiclos 2,000 naira, multiply that by 1,000% increase.
20K.
Yes.
Is it? Yeah, no.
So that's a challenge.
Yeah, 20K.
Okay, so I hear you, and for me, yes, it makes sense. Antibiotics are completely abused in Nigeria. Do you also see this and this high pricing? I know a number of it also is some of those drugs are not produced in Nigeria, so they're actually brought in. Do you also see this as an opportunity for us to stop the abuse of what we said this morning? We said drug dealer, of really what it should be, prescription drugs. Because I have a small flu and then I go to the pharmacy. And even the pharmacists sometimes also encourage that and say, okay, no worry, don't just buy Ampiclox, that kind of thing. So do you think this is a way to stem that in terms of, one, ensuring that actually go seek proper medical health? Facilities are not as fantastic, but actually go seeking medical health, and then relying on doctors and pharmacists to actually provide you alternatives that would reach the common man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me start with the abuse scenario. Nigerians have made it a norm, to just self-medicate. They do not listen to healthcare providers. They do not listen to words of wisdom. In saner climes, prioritizing the West or using the West in context. Before you take an antibiotics, you have to go through the process of seeing a GP first and recommend it. But here, a girl will just come back from work and she will have itch, and next thing she's walking to the pharmacy floor to request for a prescription-only medication, which is POM, which is antibiotics falls within that range. It's supposed to be vetted well before it's given to you. It's not an OTC whereby I can just say buy and take, for that. And that in turn, has really, 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 really truncated the efforts of healthcare providers. Also, for aid or the pharmaceutical firm coming to question of alternating or having to create their own APIs. API in this context is active pharmaceutical ingredient. I think it's just a selected few that are even breaking that norm. Like I said, the likes of Emzo, again, they are just trying to round up their new factory in Shagam that will give them the sole right to start manufacturing anti-malarials.
Yeah. Okay.
So
over to you. I don't lose for this one because I tire.
Falling ill now,
very expensive.
So as in it's just sad, because I can't remember the name of the drug. Someone was telling me, what's this thing for asthma patients? Inhaler,
yes.
So the guy was telling me that he used to buy it for about, I think, 6,000 before. Yeah. Now it's 36,000 or something. I'm not sure.
It's higher than that now.
It's higher than
36,000. Yeah, GSK, Seritide. Let me give that one, for instance. Seritide. See, since the multinationals pulled out, there's been a lot of problem in the sense that because quality products are being accrued to them, the challenge of having to do that repeatedly has been a challenge. For the open market guys, there's parallel import. So now you see the same inhaler that is being sold for 36,000, being sold for 70,000 somewhere else. You don't know which of them came directly from GSK.
Thank God.
You don't know which of them someone outrightly just imported from China, and all these things compared with regulatory issues, can tend to be a hiccup.
Thank God. Me that used to be asthmatic. Thank God I outgrew it. 70K. Long.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So how do we play safe? How do we identify the fake drugs, right? I don't know. Is it fake drugs?
Okay, so
not substandard, fake.
Identifying drug. I think I'll have to give kudos to NAFDAC to an extent.
Kudos to NAFDAC.
Over the years, they've tried as much as possible to prioritize genuine quality products being circulated. That's why each time you buy drugs now, you flip them and you see one small thing that you have to scratch.
It looks like shiny
where you have to test. It's called MAS, Mobile Authentication System. So the test is free of charge. So you test and you get a feedback immediately, prompt immediately to ascertain genuinity and
how. But
how do you? What about those drugs that are counted?
Because that's what I wanted. The one that you just go there and
go and count. Give me one sachet. Will you tell the pharmacist, let me scan it before you sell from there?
Oh, okay. For the counted drugs now, you'll notice that they come from a bigger pouch or a canister, a bigger canister.
Okay.
Each canister has that MAS attached to it.
So
for clarity purposes,
demand for
you can demand and say, okay,
let me see it.
Because most of those counted drugs are, I wouldn't say they are sub-quality. They are. We use the word generic in pharmaceuticals.
So let's stick with that generic word.
They are generic.
When Nigerians start getting afraid.
So generic drugs. So it does not take away quality.
And you said something that some of these global pharmaceutical companies,
yes,
big wigs,
the big wigs, they are known. They are associated with quality.
Yes.
At the risk of sounding like you're drumming down at products here.
Yeah.
Are we saying we don't have that quality or we don't have the capacity to produce that quality in Nigeria?
We do. And it is becoming very evident with the norms. Like there are a lot of challenges right now in the pharma space. So because of that, a lot of external monetary bodies are listening, people that can really want to come in and invest, And I cited Emzo, for instance, and NAFDAC to itself is doing this 5+5. This new kudos to Professor Adeye and team. they are doing this 5+5, where instances whereby if you are importing a medication that Nigerians feel, or the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria feel they could manufacture here, they'll give you a 5-year license term, to switch to a local manufacturer. So you have just 5 years to do that.
That's brilliant. 5+5 equals 10.
Hey.
In order to just...
But it still works. I mean, at the end of the day, 10 years before you know anything. 10 years.
No, but at least you will get some investment into those spaces, because now you are pushing those pharmaceutical companies or those big importers to set up pharmaceutical lines in Nigeria. But let's come to the average Nigerian, the low-income Nigerian affording essential medication. How can they cope? Yeah, you said something about generic, because believe me, even the anti-malaria you are talking about, it has gone up like 2 or 3 folds. So for people who have to treat anti-malaria on a regular basis, maybe every quarter, so that they don't break down completely and end up in hospital, how can they cope? They don't have to start saving money from January and buying the medication in March, and the prices will go up again, like fella said, under carpet, but at the end of the day, your money still not reach to buy the cooking pot. So what do we do? It's important that they hear this. What can we do?
Just like FMCG, medications are extremely paramount. If due to the ailing economy, ailing pocket strength, and ailing healthcare system in Nigeria, one has to, make provisions, for the aforementioned. Me, from my own angle, I would say we should, first of all, explore the option of healthy living. We should be, self-aware, so that we will not continually keep, just spending money unnecessarily. Then secondly, you would have to be, when you go to a healthcare provider, I think you have to be very honest and very down to earth with respect to your basic needs. You can't be suffering when someone is being, a pharmacist is shoving you down with a very expensive medication, where there are alternatives that are way cheaper that could even work very well, because if we are even going to put it, madly, a lot of all these pharmacy houses and all these people selling drugs, they still have KPIs, they still have to meet targets again. So the moment you walk into a pharmacy floor, it is fell shelf that I want to give you, what that will give me. So one has to, you have to just come out openly and tell your healthcare provider that, okay, see, I want affordable, but yet, something that works for me.
Wow.
All right. But I mean,
just one second, I hear that point, and I want Nigerians to actually, and those listening, taking it. What basically Rupert has just said to me, and this is my own understanding in layman English, and I will try and break it down into pidgin. Make you go hospital, go see doctor. They make you tell and say the medicine where you want prescribe for you. Make sure say if you enter your money, if you buy them, because those alternatives are there. So that you don't just walk to the pharmacy and buy Ampiclox at 36,000 when they can give you. There used to be one that when I was much younger, tetracycline at 1K. That's what Rupert has just said.
But interestingly, all those antibiotics serve different purposes.
Yes.
Some are stronger, so you might still be compelled to. But like you
said, now the doctors know which one. So if the one that is produced by local manufacturers and is good enough to take you.
I don't want to call names, but
of course.
Let's even say give Ampiclox. Oh, everybody knows Ampiclox because quote unquote it's a product. Okay, let me just use it. It's a Bicham product. So you say Bicham Ampiclox because, like I said, these guys have patent, heritage patent rights over the years because of extensive investment, in research and discovery of. So you give them that quality of, benefit of a doubt that okay, it is quality.
It will work.
But then again, you can't take away the fact that an ampicillin and a clozacillin combination, Ampiclox combination, that are patented either in the Middle East or this part of the world, you can't take away the fact that it's very effective. And it's cheaper. So why don't we explore those options of, since it works, give it to me and I pay 500 naira and leave and get the same, effect that someone...
On a lighter note, I've gone to get a medication for someone, and when they gave me the price, I think it was around, I can't remember the medication, it was 20-something thousand. So I looked at the lady, one pretty lady like that. I put shame away. I said, my sister, do you have a cheaper one? Then she looked at me and smiled and told the guy, bring the other ones. And they brought them, they were 80, 60. I said, oh, this 20 is not too expensive. I had to take it because those ones were 80,000, 60,000 and all that. But you know, my question to you is, with all what we are going through right now as a nation, is there a need for us to consider the herbal pharmaceutical products? Because we've seen you will not go there, right? It's a telepathy now, you know.
So it's
agbo, you know. No, even beyond the agbo, because we've seen cases where, if not for the Chinese and the Americans, we wouldn't be looking for ginseng tablets.
Yeah, there's bitter leaf tablets.
Exactly. So those are the things. Should we begin to look at research into bitter leaf tablets, ephedrine tablets, you know, these local products, and are they efficient or effective?
Can they? Let's use the word can.
Yeah.
Tradomedical options, given the situation we are now as a country, can be explored. But over the years, the issue with agbo and the like is dosage. You know, people just use cups, scoop a certain amount and give to you, and then you just, you know, take it without knowing. If you are buying a drug now, you know, prescription says 500 milligram BD. You are taking 500 milligram twice. You know, a woman that is selling agbo to you measures with a certain cup. If she's measuring again in the evening, it can never be the same quantity.
So my sorry to interject you, and brilliant point that you make, but let me ask this question. So let me trade back to you as a pharmacist. A lot of all these things that we see today as proper medications all came out from research. Some of them were just discovered by, like penicillin, for instance. It was just
by error.
You know, it was something else that was being tested for. Why can't we? And I'm not just saying you as a pharmacist, but as a system in the tertiary institutions, because a lot of the things that we're talking about today that come out from some of these big pharmaceuticals also come out from research-based partnerships with tertiary institutions. So why are we not doing that? And you as a pharmacist, having gone to school and spent so much time, minimum of 5 years, why aren't you also pushing for those things? Because the cost of healthcare is killing.
It is. It is.
I have no problem. It's important for us to go to school and study all those, but they are all chemical combinations. And knowing those right dosages comes from research from people like you. Why aren't you guys pushing in that direction to work with a number of all these things? So that it's the same way they created bitter leaf. What's it called? I think it's 500 grams. There's 100 grams. The same way we can create them in Nigeria. So why are the Nigerian Pharmaceutical Association pushing in that direction and working with local, what's it called, who have an idea of it and actually taking notes and doing proper research? Why?
Okay. It's just one answer to that. Finance. You know, finance. In school, 90% of every practical work out there was sourced by the students. You know, pay this, pay that, pay that. Federal allocation that is being truncated, they've been plummeted to school environments. You notice that these things are not even, these monetary allocations are not even big enough for people to do it. And then Nigeria we've not grown to a space whereby we will now extensively start, searching for newer molecules or something. In the sense that in the West, you notice that these things are being done by biotechnologists, microbiologists,
I know a first-class microbiologist. He had a first class.
Right now, this guy's working.
But now he's abroad. He's doing a PhD now. But he worked in oil and gas.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but why aren't you pushing in that direction?
That's what I'm saying now. There is no finance. If there are financial allocations to research, everybody will explore that option. Pharmaceutical firms right now just want to sell drugs.
That's it. So the bottom line is, let's help Nigerians by calling out those, may we not treat them like camels. They have been the ones spending. Aliko Dangote, Tony Elumelu, Rabiu, Bua Group, and all this. Please, let's focus on.
As much as we want to eat, we also need to be sure that
let the rich.
Let the rich. We need to bring it home. We have 1 minute to go there. Let the rich not breathe so that the poor can breathe.
Because they have bigger nostrils to suck in all the air, you know.
Oh man, it was like, well, just to add to before we round up, like, so it's something I also wanted to say, and I'm glad we all identified. So I think the government actually really needs to fund. I used to work in a hospital before, and it dawned on me that medical equipment, whatever it is, right, they are very expensive. Very, very expensive. There's something we used to check for my x-rays or so. Yeah. One tiny gun was like about $6,000 for one. But anyway, like we all, like Rupert said today, so whenever I see your pharmacist or doctor, just ensure they try and give you at least the cheaper drugs that still are as effective as the expensive one. And with that, we'll round up here. Thank you guys for being with us today. You can catch up with us on Spotify, and like I always say, if you want to feel our energy, you can watch our videos on YouTube.